You were going and you were telling about the kiosk start and the fish and chips and something?
Yes, and the fish and chips. That's where RIC actually, that we call it RIC, it's the Rural Internet Kiosk. That's where it actually came up.
Okay.
Where I was almost getting ready now to go to London.
Uh-huh.
And say that I'm just tired here, I'll go to London and
Move.
I'll move to London.
Wow.
And start off repairing houses.
Okay.
You get me? And that's where I met Abdul. Abdul, I know Abdul for a very long time. We made up the kiosks before as well. And we came up and he told me that I need to take the internet to the rural areas.
Why?
They wanted to do a project with Google.
Okay.
They said that we need to take the internet to the rural areas. And I said, okay, fine. I think must also be part of the ICT board campaign that was coming up at that time. So I told him that to start off a kiosk. So you start off a kiosk, put up one, it'll work. And the biggest problem we face in most of the parts of the world, third world countries, is your sustainability. You're not self-sustaining, you don't have power, you don't have connectivity, you don't have a safe place to put your things. So all these three things put together was what brought up the kiosk. It was put up as self-sustaining. It made its own power through solar. It was running, initially it was running on a GSM backbone.
Mm-hmm.
That meant that we had GSM that's up, and we have DVB now. And then we came up with just one monitor. And
What's the fish and chips got to do with it?
no, the fish and chips got to do with is that he told me that I need you.
At the fish and chip place?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he said, don't go, I need you. We need to sort this thing out. So that's actually all these things just came up at one point, and I told him that put all these three things or four things together, then you have something running. That's also the time that we were running the whole thing on an inverter, but they're consuming a lot of power. We couldn't work anything better than that. So we started looking into what we could run with 12 volts, and we got the power supplies from gaming machines. And also, if you go back into those days, the trucks that would run and operate would have a GPS on it, and the GPS was also required a computer, and tracking device would require a computer to run it. So that particular power supply was for 12-24 volts to run a motherboard that would keep track of the truck. So we used that power supply to power the motherboards.
Big jugaad.
And once those motherboards were powered, so now we were directly on 12 volts. To go directly on 12 volts, we can now compete and go up into the market and say, no problem, we're not losing efficiency. Also came up to end computing at that time, and we brought in the end computing so that we could now have 3 monitors instead of 1. We also brought in the phone, and we brought in the phone charger, because in the rural areas you don't get a place to charge your phone. So we brought in a solar phone charger, and we put all that in. And as we moved along, we needed also to generate revenue. To generate revenue, we had the screens, and that's the time we started thinking about online, almost in real time, that we could change ads for you in real time. Because if we were connected to the internet, that meant that our screens are now also connected to our motherboards, and we would just have to put in a second computer in it to control the screens. And that would give us real-time advertisement. That meant that we could control content that goes out, in whether it's a campaign, whether it's anything.
Question: how would you protect it?
It was made in such a way that at night you would close it and it becomes a shell. You couldn't break it; it would lock from the inside. When we designed it in a manner that you'd break it from the inside. The first pieces that we made were actually made and that we took out into the field for testing were actually made where a person would be tempted to break them.
Yeah.
He would want to break them, so that if he wants to break them at night, what we would do is to put in dummy monitors and dummy motherboards and everything, and then sit on one side and watch people coming to break them. So what we'd done is that we'd also kind of had the place on the monitor. So we would see where they would come and pierce them open from. So those are the places that we would start to protect and work with. Because we were having our own prototyping workshop at that time.
Do you think it can still work? Is it just used for advertisement?
Yes.
It is being done.
It is being used, but it's just being used, only components are being used
That's
out
what
of
I'm
it.
saying. Like outside.
Yes,
it is being
outside.
done right
In
now.
environment here, not in.
It's being done in Dubai. It's been done.
No, not here.
No, here no.
That's the question. That's
Yes.
why I asked how
Yeah.
can it be protected, because it's a good idea.
Then you see what we came up. The other thing we came up with is that we came up with LED lighting. So initially we were going that if you don't want real-time advertisement changes, then you go with LED lighting that comes with a static advertisement on it. So the other reason for the LED lighting was to market LED lighting into the rural areas and say that instead of using kerosene and paraffin, you can run your household on LED. So that meant that's when we needed Crystal to come and say, now go and get the LED guys on board, because they will also put in a little bit of money there. And we are also creating content for the person who is selling, that he also has things to sell. Just before we wound up the whole project, I had worked with a company in India where we got an ATM running on solar. Also, it was on a GSM platform. That meant that even if my VSAT went down, the GSM was there, because we had to look at GSM coming in, because GSM was coming in a big way. We couldn't ignore it. We had to have a machine that was we could integrate. We could also change platforms. That means that from just not only GSM or only VSAT, we would look at that if we had a cluster of kiosks in one area, and we would just have one mast, so that we could have almost a point to point, and almost running on a Wi-Fi network. At that's the time we also came up with how to sell Wi-Fi from the kiosk on tablets. That meant that if you had 3 terminals and they were all booked up, we could come up with smaller umbrellas and throw them out and have a cup of tea. So we would make a bit of tea and give you something to sit and a tablet. The Chinese tablets were going for about $100. With running Android very well. And it's also the same time we came up with a cloud-based platform that would come up as a billing solution. So that meant that you could open an account with us and use your tablet. And if your account wasn't exhausted, you could go to another kiosk and hire the tablet. So you don't need to buy one. You just hire it for a few shillings and go back and use your account. So this man would also not make a loss, because you are still picking up his tablet on hire. You get me? So the whole system was in that manner. And that's the time we also came up with the school computers. They said that that vandalism, that meant that we would embed them in a table. And the same embedding in the table is going to be reused again now in our hotel, where we'll have computers embedded in a desk, so you don't have to come with your own computer. But those were embedded there. The reason being that we were not for giving out a laptop and that to children or to families who could not help sustain and keep the laptop alive as a tool. It would after some time become a burden. More than a tool, it would become a burden. So we'd have a community and a communal place where you would have your computers fitted. So that went to that stage, and to be mobile, what we did is that if we don't have a kiosk, we would fit up a small unit on the back of a bicycle on a trailer. So and that was the final thing that I was actually working on, the prototype, and that was on the drawing board, and we'd already started working on it. You would have everything on a trailer, so you would pull it to a central location or any location you feel that you're going to make money out of. Push up the solar panels so that acts as your roof. You get your monitors and your keyboard out, and throw up your dish. That's also promoting we were also trying to promote the get to net, and basically also the kiosk was also coming in place because of the Google O3B project. But then O3B almost kind of died out.
It's back now.
I haven't followed it up after that anyway. So it went slower, and then we went down to ESA came up with Astra came up with their Astra to connect the get to net. That worked very well. That actually worked well, and the only hiccup that actually came up was when we wanted to move out of Windows, and we went out on the Linux platform. And it came to a point. That's why I tell you that we need to test the product very well before we launch it. We were almost on the dying and the last heartbeats of a project where we did not have money to sustain it anymore. We needed to have somebody coming and throwing in a lifeline. But what we came up and did is that also we went on the Linux platform, and there was a compatibility problem with hardware, and that's the time we started getting some failures, and the whole the whole system was then changed. It's actually the whole management decided that we need to make a change on that, and that's also the time that I left the project then. But it's still there in terms of the requirement will always be there. If you look at it today, if we look at it in that sense, UK is